Often here on the show, we bring things to the table that I think the listeners and the viewers may not be aware of, but here's something that probably won't surprise them. A new study found that the average American commuter lost 43 hours of their life mired in traffic jams last year. This is one of the situations where I'm unfortunate to say I'm above average in this regard. But, your retirement portfolio may also be stuck in traffic, causing it to waste time and money. Nolan, what are some of the more common culprits that you notice, and how do you help reduce those?
Yeah, I would definitely say living here in Northwest Ohio, we are pretty blessed in the fact that we can get around anywhere in the Toledo area, usually in a pretty quick time frame versus some of the big cities like Atlanta or other places where LA and traffic seems to be a little bit slow. But, when you look at your portfolio and you're thinking about my portfolio is kind of stuck in traffic, I'm really thinking about, how is it wasting time and money? Retirement is a point in your life that you don't have the luxury of time to sit and have money not working hard for you. If you're not going to get up and go to work, you need to make sure that your dollars get up and go to work every single day possible and need to not have excess waste in your portfolio. This is one of the areas that I love doing for a retirement team action plan. So if you want to find out if you have waste in your portfolio, again, take up that advantage of scheduling a time to get your retirement team action plan. If you go to arhq.com, right on the main page, you can see schedule that button there, a time to get your retirement team action plan. We'll take a look at it. But a couple of ideas. I had some clients that had come into the office just recently, and what we started to do is look at the amount of money that they had in various cash accounts. So they had a pretty decent balance in cash savings at the bank, and then they had a pretty large cash balance inside of their 401k plan. And I'm not opposed to having cash. I think you want to have some cash to have, peace of mind to back you up in the event that something bad happens or you lose your job early or the market has a big sell-off. But the problem is looking at their cash, this couple was earning 0.08% interest. Yeah, so, they're basically earning almost nothing on their cash accounts. Yet here we are at decade-level high interest rates. There's high-interest money market accounts they can simply sweep and switch that money over to. And, in March of 2025, you've got money market accounts that can pay, up to 4%. So that is a way to immediately put money to work for clients. It's like, now that the seasons are kind of starting to change, it's still, some time to go here in Northwest Ohio. But if you go in the closet, you take that, spring coat out, and you put your hand in your pocket, and you find $20 in there, it's one of the best feelings ever.
Oh, yeah.
In this example, if they take that money, between the various accounts they had, it was about $100,000 between bank savings and savings in their 401k, and they were able to take and transition it to a higher interest account, assuming the interest rates stay at 4% versus 0.08, which is what they're getting. That's $4,000 more of income just simply by putting that cash to work. So, number one, if you're listening and you have a large cash balance and you're getting less than 4% interest, we should have a conversation. Number two is older annuities with excess fees for low rates. I had another gentleman that had come into the office. Unfortunately, he had lost his father about 8 years ago. And the advisor that he had met with ended up purchasing what is called a variable annuity in his situation. And it really kind of just scratched my head on why he would own a variable annuity, number one, at his age. Number two, in the fact that because it's a inherited account, he has to take money out of that account. So in this case, he's paying all of these excess fees and expenses for things that are not going to provide any benefit from him because he's forced to take money and distributions out of this account and spend that money down over a set period of time. He may be much better off looking at things that are much lower cost options that can accomplish his outcomes. I had another review with the individual, and they had an older annuity, and their older annuity was paying them a very low interest rate. And we were able to simply take that money and transition it and move it over into a much higher interest rate with where rates are today. And so again, if you're thinking about a $200,000 old annuity, 1, 2, 3% difference makes a big difference in the amount of predictable income that can put that money to work. So if you have an annuity and your annuity is 5 years or older, I would say it could be a good idea to dust it off and have us take a look and see if it is wasting money for you. The next category is what I would refer to as over-diversification. Had a real nice lady that had come in from the radio that had us look at her portfolio and put together that independent portfolio analysis. And, in looking at her investments, just looking at the size of her portfolio, she had, $75,000 build-up retirement account, which is nice to get started growing. She's got more years to save till she gets to retirement time. But, in looking at her investment accounts, she had just a laundry list of different funds that she owned. And it was like fund after fund after ETF after ETF. I think she literally had, thousands of different holdings if you added them all up. Talk about over diversification. So for her, what we did is we walked through the process that we have at the Retirement Guys Formula, our investment company, and, identifying companies that are cash rich, low debt, have met a certain profit margin, companies that have a competitive advantage or are needed on a daily basis. We can still get her diversified, but not in thousands and thousands and thousands of company. Again, in that scenario, she's missing out on potential opportunity. Another way could be wasting money as well. We had a scenario, and I talked about this in an earlier segment, where somebody had a home equity loan, they had a mortgage, and they had credit card debt, and their advisor was not even giving them advice to take money out of their investment account to pay off those high-interest credit cards or pay off the 8% mortgage. So she's paying all these fees and expenses to have her money managed when she can eliminate the debt that she has with the market at a record level high, eliminate those management wasted fees, and eliminate the outgoing wasted fees that she's paying to the mortgage and credit card company. So if you want us to help you figure out, what are the areas that maybe you could cut and put more money back in your pocket, that's exactly what that retirement team action plan can do for you. Again, if you have more than $250,000 saved up for retirement time, we would be happy to put together a retirement team action plan for you.
All you have to do to get started is reach out 419-794-3030. It's not just about the fees that you're paying or perhaps a market downturn, talking about the people who had as much money as they had in cash. Obviously, the accessibility for it is great, but you're missing out on some growth. And as we know, $100, $1,000, however much right now is not going to have the same buying power 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now. So maybe finding ways to make that work harder for you. And Nolan, I want to circle back. I don't want to beat up on this lady by any means, but the lady who had so many different holdings, so many different mutual funds. When you took a deeper dive, did you find that there were a lot of redundancies in there, a lot of the same stocks in different funds?
This is another area where I think a lot of investors are going to get hurt in this type of environment. If you look at it and you think about diversification, what we think about it is many investors, in this case, who own multiple different things will think they're diversified, but they really are not. Mm-hmm. You have right now, if you look at the stock market, there's a couple things that you want to take into consideration. There's some of the same investments that are in the S&P and the NASDAQ, and so you get an overlap. Even more so when you look at the S&P 500 index, there's 7 stocks that make up a large majority of the performance of the market.
Yeah.
So as long as those 7 stocks do good, the market does good, your stock statement does good. But, I can go back in time, and I'm dating myself here because I've been in the business for over 30 years, but if you think about the tech wreck of 2000, what happened was investors in that environment thought they were diversified, but all their funds own the same technology companies. And so when the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, those investors really got hurt. I think we're in an environment like that as well. I think we're also in an environment where you have to be careful knowing what you own. If you look at some of the stats that are out there, some of the small and medium companies in the United States, it's nearly 50% of small and medium companies in the United States are not profitable. So the question there becomes, well, what happens when the market does bad and those type of companies get into trouble? So not only can you be wasting money, you can get painful lessons in this environment by not having that independent portfolio analysis completed.
You may find out in the value of the portfolio analysis that you're doing well and you should stay the course. And that would probably give you a little confidence as you enter into retirement. There's also the situation where you may find out that there's a little bit of work that needs to be done, maybe a little bit more than a little. That is not a shortcoming on your fault, but by having those conversations, you now know how to make those changes, or that you should make those changes, and then explore what those options are going to be. All you need to do to get started and figure out how to go about doing that is reach out, set up a time to speak with the team at America's Retirement Headquarters. You can call 419-794-3030, or you can also go to the website and reach out at arhq.com.